funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
All right, welcome back to another My Funny Friends podcast. I'm your co-host, Drew Harrison, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely assistant, my Vanna, the Vanna to my what's the Will Fortune guy?
I don't know his actual.
Pat
I don't know his
Sajak,
name.
the Vanna to my Pat Sajak.
Wait, when did I become the
Mr.
assistant?
Will Abeles. Dude, we all know
just-
Vanna's the star of that. Get out of here.
I'm
Come
just
on.
getting demoted every week. You're just gonna push me lower and lower. Eventually, it's just gonna be. I'm not gonna. If you can make my screen smaller, you would do it.
I've tried. The computer program won't let me. But
Well, true.
I'm excited about this episode because we're joined by a very funny guy, a super welcoming to both me and Will when we came into the Nashville scene, and just love seeing his success grow lately, especially Mr. Aaron Weber. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. Thank you, Drew. Anyone ever tell you how soothing your voice is, man?
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
I kind of just want to just shut up and just let you just read a menu or something.
Welcome to Saturday Jams with Drew.
It's a combination of the speed of your voice, just how relaxed you talk, and then your accent. It's like it's a dangerous cocktail, dude. You could seduce me into doing anything.
Well, I got you here, so there we go. My plan worked. You know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will, your voice is all right.
Yeah, that's okay. I've heard. Yeah, at least I'm not.
Thank
singing.
y'all for having me.
I
appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you, man.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
We always like to start off with the what year and where did you start stand-up comedy?
I was in a student stand-up club in college, and I started that my sophomore year. And I did shows, maybe 3 or 4 a year for
Solid.
all our friends, just students. And I thought I was doing real comedy.
Yeah.
And then after college, I moved back to Nashville, and for whatever reason, didn't start doing it really. Took about a year before I started doing open mics.
Okay.
And I remember I had a really bad commute for my first job out of college.
Okay.
I lived in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and I worked in Brentwood, Tennessee,
gotta go
which means
straight
you drive all the way through Nashville and back every day. It was like an hour and a half each way. And I just hated doing that so much that I need something to do after work so that I can avoid all this traffic. So I just started going to open mics, and then I just kind of never stopped. And all of a sudden you look up and this is kind of all you're doing. That's how it felt for me.
No, I completely agree. What was the very first open mic you did in Nashville?
Bobby's Idle Hour on Music Row in Nashville, which has since been demolished. They got a condo up there now. Thank God. That's what I've been saying.
Supply.
Nashville would be a great city if we had more of those. So when they got rid of that. And that was every Monday. And that was at the time the longest running open mic in, I think, the state of Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
And I remember the first open mic I did was the Monday immediately following the first Nashville World Record show, where they did 10 straight days of stand-up.
That's that's how I heard about Nashville comedy.
The Broken Record show. Yeah, they just finished the first one. And then I did that open mic on Monday because I saw their live stream of the show, and I was like, I can do this. And then I show up and everybody's so exhausted, and I didn't get it. I was like, man, there's not a lot of energy in here right now. But
it's 2 a.m.
And I remember there were 2 guys my age who were there, and it was their first time too. And I met them. They were the 2 first people I met. And then we sat at the bar after the show and talked about how we wanted to do stand-up. We were looking through each other's notebooks, and I remember thinking, these are my guys, dude. Like, this is my crew. This is going to be my crew now. And I never saw them again.
I was going to say, and who did that turn into? Like, nope.
Yeah, I went to the mic the next night, and they weren't there. And I don't know if they left town. They gave up pretty quick.
Wow, that was a great first impression.
Yeah, I know, right?
My squad. Wait, where'd they go?
I gotta move.
know, man.
Yeah, that's been a fun thing the last year, just getting to like know Nashville and everything. And some of the comics that are brand new, like are just starting in the last like year and 2 years. It's cool seeing who kind of pairs up and who's clicking and like, who's starting to like produce shows together and like who's becoming
Because
buddies.
you got to have
it's
that
fun.
group of people you do it with.
Yeah.
You go crazy,
Yeah.
You kind of group up in these. Everybody thinks of them as classes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just over time they just group up. The people fizzle out. Everybody fizzles out, and then the people that stick around just kind of congeal together.
Yeah.
And it's like a marriage. Yeah, for sure. So I would say those guys, when I started, it was like Brad Sativa had just started. John Hickok started right after me. And then the guys like right above me that sort of became in the same group with me, Joe Kelly and Josh Wagner and Jordan Jensen and these guys. The three I just named are no longer in Nashville.
Yeah.
But except Brad and John are here, obviously. That was kind of the group that was around when I started.
I always forget Jordan started here in Nashville because I knew her back in New York. I didn't know she was a Nashville comic starting out. Yeah.
I don't remember if she started here, but when I got here, she was killing it.
Yeah, I mean she's hilarious. Yeah, she the first time I saw her, she was on a lineup with like Roy Wood Jr. and like still held her own on it, and it was just like, all right. I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna keep in touch with this woman. Yeah,
man.
So what college did you go to? Like, what was? Because I kind of had a similar experience. Like I was basically just doing open mics in college, and so you have like all these people like-minded. So you think you're crushing comedy, but in reality, you're just talking to yourself essentially.
Yeah, it's all fake. It's not real. It's not real comedy at all. I was at Notre Dame is where I went, and we had a group called the Student Stand-Ups, and we've actually had like the group of us that were in it. A lot of them are still doing stand-up. Shelley Kim, she was the president. She's in DC doing stand-up, and there's a couple other guys. So it was like a good group of people who took it seriously, but we had no idea how fake it was that what we were doing.
Yeah.
We were like, my first ever time on stage was like 600 people and everybody was just murdering. I was like, this comedy, dude, I'm out here doing it.
This is every night.
And I show up at Bobby's and there's 15 people there and nobody cares. And you're like, oh, jeez.
Surprise comedy.
Yeah. Welcome to the real world.
It's a real glamour. Yeah. That's cool. So what made you want to start it when you were in college? Was there anything like growing up? Because I know some people like they would watch like the old Comedy Central like tapes and HBO and all that, but I don't know. Did you have any like inkling of like when you were growing up and like I'm going to be a stand-up comic, or was just kind of fell into it?
I was always a fan of it. I had 2 specials memorized word for word when I was younger. Kevin James' Sweat the Small Stuff, his comedy, which is still,
I love that special so much.
Still one of the most criminally underrated specials of all time, I think. And Brian Regan's Comedy Central special. I bootlegged both of them on LimeWire, and I remember I watched
LimeWire was the best
so many times. I had them memorized. My parents would make me perform it for the family. I would bomb, and then I remember I did basically all of Brian Regan's first album on a field trip once. And that was like 4th or 5th grade. So like the kernel of it was there.
Yeah.
And I'd always liked public speaking. I did debate in high school. I did mock trial. I did youth and government in high school. I was very into that. I was actually the youth governor of Tennessee my senior year. So I had always liked just being a douche and talking in front of people. So stand-up just felt like the natural, like where I could get that same kind of feeling without doing really any serious work.
Right.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I could be stand up or I can be like a lawyer and take myself seriously. And I didn't want to do that.
No.
So
wearing the suit every day. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh God. No, dude. I haven't tucked my shirt in probably 8 years.
Oh, same. That's the first question out of my mouth whenever my wife's like, we got a nice place to go. I was like, duh. Is it a shirt tucked in kind of thing? Like, no. Like, well, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of the reception. The moment you see one other person at the reception with their shirt out, I'm like,
at the wedding. Yeah.
Done.
Once the ties start loosening up, you're like, oh, we can be real people again.
Yeah.
We can stop pretending this.
I don't know about you guys, but I have recently found the joys of suspender life.
Suspender life?
Man.
Suspender
I can't
life
say I'm there yet, Drew, but I would love to hear more about it.
Oh man, it's amazing. Like, because being a big guy most of my adult life, always worrying when you bend over, you're crack attacking at people. You know what I mean?
Are you wearing them right now?
No, I mean, I usually have my lounging suspenders, but it's laundry day, so I don't have them on per se.
You actually have lounging suspenders?
No.
Oh, okay.
If that was the case, then just go ahead and just put me out of my misery, please.
I was like, Drew, this might be a more serious discussion than you.
Yeah, I was like, just withdrawing. I was like, what is he talking about? I was like, what is this? What am I learning right now?
Yeah, right.
Oh, amazing.
I'll have to give that a shot. I do like suspenders when I have to get like a tux for a wedding or something.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling. And I tear up a belt, man.
Security.
I don't know. They can't make a belt that just doesn't. I mean, I wear it once and then it looks like the end of it's all bent up and out of shape. Yeah. And then you sit down and it just folds over itself onto you. It's a belts are, I hadn't even thought about how much of a daily problem they are.
Suspenders takes it all out of the equation.
Are you being like quirky about it? Are they like are they outside of the shirt or are you hiding?
That's the great thing is you could do either or. It's so versatile. You know what I mean? Like if it calls for a red suspender kind of occasion, you red suspender it. If it calls for a more subtle white on white shirt suspender, you can go that route too.
Drew's gonna be on stage with rainbow suspenders and a clown nose. Like you're not far off from doing that, man. I support it.
Thank you.
I genuinely thought seeing a dead body today was going to be the worst part of my day, but I want to thank both of you for that moment.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to Nashville comedy, hitting the open mics, and this is what, like 2015-ish?
May of 2015.
Okay. So what's the open mic scene look like in Nashville? What's the comedy scene in Nashville 7 years ago?
It was smaller than it is now. I would say there were like everything, even in the short amount of time I've been doing it, you still see everything comes in waves. Right. Where you're like, man, this is an embarrassment of riches, how many mics and showcases we have right now. And I feel like we had fewer mics. There were like 3 or 4 a week, but they were pretty good. And then we went through a while, like years later, we got a bunch. And now I feel like we're still recovering from COVID a little bit, at least with mics.
Yeah.
Because it used to be, dude, I could go up 2 times Monday, 2 times Tuesday, and then like 2 on Wednesday. And then there was a great Thursday mic at Belcourt Taps. And you could hit all of those. And then, it's like anything. They just fizzle out. Yeah. The venue shuts down or whatever. So hopefully they come back. I still think there are a lot of great local shows right now. I just did Zach Townsend and Josh Black. I won at Jackalope Brewery. I just did that the other night. That was great. That made me feel really good. There's still a lot of fun stuff happening here. Yeah, but it has grown tremendously since I started. I remember like now I go to a mic and there's like, it's 25 people on the list and there's a bunch of people who don't get up. Yeah. And I don't remember that being a problem when I started. There was never like too many comics for the show. So that's really cool to see as you go to a mic down, there's all these people like, oh, this is like a good problem. These are like growing pains that are necessary.
For sure.
Well, and like kind of what we were talking about earlier is like, and then when that like, when we keep having the overflow, then they're like, okay, well, let's make a second mic or let's make a second show. So we had, and it's like one of those things that just happens very organically, it's like, you don't have to ask someone to do it. They just go, well, I kind of wish we had more chances to do this. And you're like, go do it.
Exactly. So somebody steps up and they're like, oh, I'll create an opportunity for myself. Yeah. Right. Which is what should happen.
I love seeing the younger comics jumping on like new mic locations. Like I love seeing Joey in songs, just enthusiasm to bring a mic to the scene, dude. I love it.
I know, and you're like, man, I can't wait till he gets broken.
You got to see it in the eyes,
You see somebody, you're not jaded yet, dude. You're still like life and stuff.
You're happy and happy in comedies in the same.
Well, how did y'all feel coming in, having done it for years, and then because that's not a typical path. Most like Nashville, I feel like increasingly it's a place where people will come for comedy. But at least when I started, it felt like a place where people started.
Yeah.
So what was it like coming in after having years under your belt?
It was good because I was in an even smaller scene. So like we had 1 to 2 mics a week. And if Dead Crow and me or Matt Milner weren't producing the show, then we didn't have a show. Like, people weren't taking that torch and opportunity to run with it and make shows. But Wilmington's got a new young crop of young comics, and
good.
They're building the shows up. But at that time, moving to Nashville was a huge increase in shows.
That's awesome. That's very fun. I'm glad that more people are there now, because you made it sound like the whole scene.
It was we went
the whole
through.
Scene
I mean, the
hinged,
wave,
hinged on me, and then I left,
and then I was out.
So the club shut down after I left. Honestly,
they did for a little bit.
Yeah,
they retired his jersey and everything.
Yeah, what about you, Will?
I mean, it was because I had to spend a year basically not doing stand-up because I was stuck at home for like all of 2020. So just to be able to be on stage again, I was so excited for that.
Yeah.
But I found it like really welcoming and like quickly, and it kind of threw me off. Like, because I'm so used to everyone in New York that was like, all right, yeah, no one talk to each other and just do your set, and then maybe one person will become your friend, and everyone, it's like, so it was pretty easy to just kind of mesh with everybody, and I actually like felt. I felt joy doing open mics again for probably the first time in like 5 years. Like I was like it was like the cherry on top at the end of my day. So I was like, really, I don't know, I haven't enjoyed an open mic in so long, and even now I still like seeing everybody and going and doing it and everything. So
that's great, man.
It is fun hanging out. You know what I mean? Like you get programmed to go to open mic, do your business, and get out of there. You know what I mean? But like now I want to see what you're working on, or what they're working on, or what. Like it's nice.
I do think it's a good group, man. I mean, it's like everywhere you got your fringe lunatics that are around.
For sure. Yeah,
but that's not unlike a family, right? Where you have your a few crazy cousins. People.
Yeah.
But you're still. Every time I interact with, and I know just like a crazy person that's in the comedy scene, including the ones who I consider friends, I always have to tell myself, if not here, then where?
Yeah.
What other community would absorb this this diverse group of psychopaths?
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's another one. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that there are just the weirdest people ever. Then there's totally normal people, and I don't know another avenue where everybody's together like that.
It is fun when you meet a new comic and you get to play that game of psychopath or normal person that just likes to do this.
Right.
I had a good buddy of mine. I don't know if y'all know him. He hasn't been doing comedy for a while. I won't say his name because the story is but he's a psychiatrist. He's a doctor. But he for a while he was very active in the open mic scene, and great guy, funny. And I'm outside of Bobby's Idle Hour, and this guy who thankfully only did one mic. He showed up. He was crazy, just a legitimate crazy person. And me and this guy are talking, and the crazy guy walks up and talks to us, talks our ears off for like 5 minutes, and then walks away. And then my buddy, the psychiatrist, just kind of leans in and he goes, "You want to guess the diagnosis?" I go, "Oh man, that like blew me away." He knows exactly what's going on with this guy. You could tell right away. And that's the world that we're in.
That's funny that he could see that and he still chose to be around the group for a little while.
Just like always working. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. You can't turn it off probably.
Yeah. Well, I do always laugh when you meet like a well-adjusted comic and you're like, okay, what's the missing piece? Because people think I'm well-adjusted. Then you get to know him and you're like, oh no, Will's absolutely out of his mind. Like he's an actual crazy person. Yeah. But it's always funny when you meet like a non-comic and they're like, so did you have trauma in your past, or are you just like really funny? And you're like, well, it's kind of both, I guess.
Yeah. But like, you meet a guy that's like super handsome and you're like, why are you doing this, man? And then you get to know him and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I get it.
This is why.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're the saddest man ever. Okay.
Right. Your father never loved you. I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah.
Check the box.
Let's get into it. Yeah. That's cool. So you're hitting the open mics, and then when did you start? I mean, what was kind of your path? You know, so you're doing the mics, you're hitting some. I'm assuming you're hitting like the bar shows, the independent shows, and then was Comedy Bar around then?
No, that came later. It was and it took, I think, a couple years before Third Coast opened up. So it was just this singular Zanies. But there were a lot of independent shows and stuff, and I would try to get out of town. There used to be a club in Jackson, Tennessee, and that was my first time on the road. Was I went out there with Brad Sativa and bombed real bad, got paid for the tape, and this is how naive you are starting out. I used this tape. I sent it to people. like I thought this was a booking tape.
Yeah.
And I watched it recently and I was like, my God, I'm not even doing well for what this is. Like then I wasn't doing well. It's not like
this wasn't even a good night.
It's not like, oh, I'm better now. I was horrible then, like awful. I wasn't even doing well. So yeah, just wherever they would have me, man. And I actually something I do, which I recommend anybody does, is I keep, and I've been keeping it since I started, I keep a spreadsheet on Google Docs of every time I go on a stage. I keep a spreadsheet, the time, the date, where it was, who else was on the show, and then it's like fun. Every time you do a show or something, you think, oh, that's another row on this spreadsheet that I'm building. And so I can look back and kind of remember. I remember my first 10-minute spot, and when somebody let me do a little more time, it's kind of fun to look through it like
really
that.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I keep a little bit of like a business ledger kind of thing, like
cool,
similar to that.
Yeah, anything that you can, just like do it, and then like a year later look back and be like, oh my God, I've done all this. It's kind of cool to see your life on a spreadsheet like that.
I had something fall out of my notebook, like my notebook from last year, and Kanan and I did this show on Comedy Bar, and it was like, it had to have been one of the worst shows I've ever been a part of. And it was like one of those bombs where like halfway through I was like, am I still talking? Like I have like 7 more minutes to do this. This is insane. But the entire lineup I still had, like, from, I just kept it because it was like, cool. I have to remember this show.
That bad.
Yeah, and memento from this worst show of all time. I totally get that.
Yeah, it was just.
I've trained myself, and this is something like when you're just in an experience that you know is going to be terrible like that. It's got to train yourself, like, oh, I'm going to enjoy the spectacle and the experience of how awful this is.
The pure entertainment value.
Yeah, and just go, oh, this is a story I tell on a podcast, which is exactly what just happened.
Right.
Maybe it'll be, and then you start to seek out and look forward to experiences that will be bad.
My favorite story like that is we did a show on the outskirts of Charlotte for the local biker bar, and the local motorcycle club was also the local fire department. So the president was like the chief, so like they were heckling the whole time. The staff had shirts like made for comedy night. It was a nightmare. Like in the middle of the set, I took 2 other Wilmington comics with me. In the middle of the second comic set, a guy walked up to us at the back of the bar. He's like, "When's the comedy show starting?" I was like, "It's been going on for about a half hour now, so we're going great."
I tell you my favorite. We talk about biker bars. This is a story that Nate Bargatze told me. I don't remember who it's about. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but it's a young comic in, I think, Jacksonville, Florida. He's been doing comedy like
I love it already. Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
He's been doing comedy like 3 months, and this local biker bar, they hit him up. They said, listen, here's the situation. One of our buddies just died, and he was a big fan of comedy. So in his memory, we want to do a show at our biker bar, just in memoriam to our friend. And, I'd probably still do that show, but especially when you're like a couple months in, you're like, oh, I'll do anything.
Of course.
Yeah, right.
So he's like, yeah, of course, I'll show up. So he shows up, and it's just a train wreck of a show. And he's waiting to go up, and he's backstage or whatever. And he's like, this is just awful. And he goes out there and he stands on stage, and he's supposed to do like 10 minutes, and he's bombing. He's done like 2 minutes. He's sweating, the lights in his eyes. He can't see. He's like squinting. The light's just so bright. And he's sweating. And he does like 3 minutes. He's like, this is awful. I'm leaving. So he gets off. He walks off the side of the stage, and then he realizes that the light that was in his eyes was not a light. It was a projector that was projecting an image of the guy that died onto him. So he's standing up there. He's standing up there in a room full of bikers with an image of their dead friend on his body, and he's bombing up here, and he has no idea.
Oh,
And I go, that was one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Ooh.
I don't even, like, and then and the crazy part is he woke up the next day and kept doing comedy.
I know. Then he's like, when's my next spot?
Right.
You know?
Look, I can't wait to get back on stage.
Oh, that's amazing. Like, I'm never going to complain about anything ever again.
That's a good lesson in that. Make sure you check out and see what the stage looks like and everything before you just walk out there. Is there going to be anything blind.
Projected on TV?
A question you never thought you'd have to ask.
I know.
Just
it's amazing the things that you think are obvious that people you're like, I want people to sit down, have people face me. Have I don't know, don't play music during it. It's like all things that
do we need to shut
obvious.
the music off? I love that.
Yeah, we shut the NFL playoffs real quick. I gotta do this show.
God,
we got a TV behind you that's gonna show ads real quick. Is that fine? Like
yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead, dude.
One of the first shows I ever did in my hometown was only a couple years ago. Like I had never really performed much back in Hagerstown, but it was this big deal. Like it was like, oh, Will's coming down. He's going to do this headlining set, whatever. And I brought two of my buddies from New York, and we walked to the venue's great. Everything's great. And I just go to the bar. I'm like, hey, is there a microphone and speakers? And they were like, you're not bringing it? And I was like, why would I bring that? And so we went to the mall, and we went into an FYE. And I just bought like a $50 like karaoke speaker. And then by the time I got back, no one knows who this guy was. Some guy just went to his truck, pulled out an amp and a mic, put it on the stage, and then just left. And was like, I'll come pick it up later. So we come back.
Oh my God.
We come back and now there's an amp, and I'm like, am I going insane? And I'm asking them, I'm like, who brought it? They're like, we don't know. The guy left. He just brought it out of his truck and left. And I was like, what? This is why I never come home.
Dude, it's so funny the things they assume. Like, well, you didn't bring your own PA? Right. As if that's the same as like a band showing up and them being like, so do you have a guitar for me to play? Like, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. But because of that, anytime I do a road gig, no matter what, I always just am like, and do I need to bring?
Yeah. Right. Now you got that on your checklist to ask.
It's especially breweries. Like breweries, I think specifically is where I'm always now like, okay, make sure we figure this out before I show up.
Exactly. They're probably just a room. They don't have any kind of infrastructure.
Nothing.
We
they didn't even tell the bartenders.
Oh, that's always the best too. Like,
I
ran for the comedy show. What?
I ran a show with Brad Sativa on Demumbrian Street in Nashville, which is like a little mini Broadway. And they had this upstairs room that they said, well, we're not using it. You can do a show up here. And I don't know what you call the opposite of soundproof, but that's what the floor was, because there's a band downstairs and it was just awful. And I remember showing up the first night and meeting the bouncer and going, hey, where's the comedy show at? And he's like, we don't do a comedy show, dude. I was like, oh God. Great communication with the staff. None of the employees had any idea that there was a show going on. Yeah. So that show didn't last very long.
That's my favorite.
Surprisingly.
Right.
Yeah. There's a show like that in Baltimore, but it's same setup where there's a band playing below you, but it's a punk band. It's like a punk venue. And the point of the show is to try and like be better than the band.
Oh, okay.
So
they just lean into it.
Yeah. So like if you're like a soft-spoken comic, it's just it can't be worse. But
Drew, you're done, buddy.
Yeah. They were like, don't even sign up, buddy. It's okay. Don't even try. You're done. Yeah. No, I always worry about that because they're always like, especially when everyone was getting sick and being weird about germs and everything. Like I basically eat the microphone every time I'm on stage. So I always have to like had to like think about all that.
Yeah, I'm a spitter, dude. I spit my whole set, and I don't know what it is, but I can see it. I tell myself that only I can see it because of how the lights are. I go, well, this is just, they have no idea, and I think they probably have. I'm spitting all over these people. So yeah, I'm like, if I see myself spitting a lot and I think about it, I go to the back of the stage, kind of hang back there, just to not
Like,
coat
sorry.
these people.
Hand out an umbrella. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how like what goes through your brain while you're on stage that isn't your jokes. You know, and it's this thing where like you go on autopilot, you're telling your jokes, but then you're always like, man, I am spitting so much on this poor person.
Yeah, you're doing a joke, and then you're not even really thinking about the joke. You're thinking about what do I do next.
Yeah,
Or
right.
I always see my relatives in the crowd.
Oh, your relatives come to your shows?
I swear to God, that's probably 90% of the shows I look, and I think I see like this, like, is that my uncle John Mark? Like, and it's not him, but I don't know. It's just your brain's just firing on all cylinders, you know?
Like, you know what that guy looks like.
Someone the other day at Brunch of Laughs, like Will Foskey was visiting, and he was convinced there was like an NHL player in the audience. And then he went up to him after the show, was like, "Are you this guy?" And he was like, "No, I'm not." And he was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And then just walked away. I was like, "Oh, that guy gets that all the time."
It still might have been.
I mean, yeah,
right?
maybe. I mean, maybe. Yeah.
He saw Will set, and he's like, "Nah, I don't want to talk."
I don't want to talk to this guy.
He's like, there's too many Wills in this lineup.
Yeah.
So when did you start doing zanies, and like what did that lead to for you?
First zany spot was about 6 months in. There used to be a show called the Yazoo Comedy Showcase.
Yeah.
That was like the winner. It's the audience participation. The winner gets a case of Yazoo beer. That was the big show where open micers could get a chance to do zanies. Yeah. And I did that, and then I hosted it the next weekend, and then I got a couple like one-nighter hosting, and just kind of went from there. So I was pretty lucky. It happened. I mean, 6 months. It happened pretty quick, but yeah, I was really working it back then.
Yeah, and
going up as often as I can, you know. So yeah, 6 months in before I started, and then I went full time September of 2019. Nice. So that was about four years in, and then it was great for about 5 or 6 months, and then, then all of a sudden my calendar emptied up pretty quick. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been I can't imagine doing anything else really.
That's awesome, man.
You know,
so the Nightland podcast happened during when the world was kind of shutting down, right? Like, didn't
it was
come to be?
I think a lot of stuff happened during that stretch.
Yeah.
That first summer of COVID, when people are like, "Oh, this isn't going away.
We got to do something."
You know. So Nate Bargatze, who's a Nashville guy, and I'd met him a few times around Nashville. I opened for him once in Florida, and that was a while ago. But I just got a call from him out of the blue. He said he's looking to start a podcast, and I'll be honest, I thought he meant, "Would you come do an episode of it?" And I was like, "Oh, I'd love to." And then I was like, when do you want to do it? He's like, "I'm thinking every Monday." I was like, "Oh my God. Okay. All right."
Yes.
All right. Pretty cool. So that we're coming up on 100 episodes. It's been like a year and a half. It's pretty cool, man.
That's awesome, man. It looks like the fan base took to it immediately. Like, I love the interactions. I see, like, you each have your own land podcast, like Instagram account, you know,
the fake spinoffs.
Yeah.
The running joke is that every time I pontificate or talk too long without Nate talking, that Nate is like, "What are you hosting, Aaron Land over there?" and that became somebody started an Aaron Land Instagram account with like memes and stuff. It's crazy how it took off, and it's really cool now. Like we're in Lowell, Arkansas this weekend, and we had a bunch of people last night that know. They were like quoting lines from every episode of that podcast.
That's fantastic.
To me, it's very cool because you guys know you do this in a room by yourself. You have no idea if anybody's laughing or if anybody cares.
Yeah.
So then to like meet people in real life that have listened to it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
That's awesome, man. That's
Man.
fantastic. Well,
yeah, and that's well, I was gonna say that's like a different form of fan base too, like the podcast versus like what you get to do on stage, and it's great when they get to merge together too. You know?
Yeah, they it's a totally different relationship, right? I mean, they've listened to you talk for hundreds of hours. Right. I mean, I was telling somebody about this. I was like, I've listened to Joe Rogan talk more than my dad, probably like total lifetime hours of just raw, just listening to him. A Rogan probably beats out my whole family. Because that's the relationship you have on a podcast. And then it's very odd. You ever meet somebody that you know really well through podcasts and stuff, and then you have to remind yourself, like, oh, they don't. This is totally one-sided.
They don't. It's not a mutual thing.
I met Paul Verzi, who's a comedian from New York, and I listened to a ton of his podcasts. And when I met him, I wanted to be like, yo, dude, so what about that thing that happened to you last week? And then I was like, oh, he has no idea who I am. This is just, I've just been listening to him like a baby monitor. It's one way.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair. That's something you don't think about, you know, because you truly know someone just from listening to everything they have to say. But one of the cool things I saw you guys got to do when the world was just dipping their toes in the water to see if we were going to open back up is y'all got to do the drive-in theater tour. Yeah. Like how different was that, like, and getting back out there and having people in their cars and you're on a stage? And
it's pretty odd, man.
I can imagine, like, just seeing the pictures. I was like, oh, that's weird.
I think I did maybe like 10 or 12 of those with Nate, maybe a little bit more. He was going to tape a special that fall, so the only way you could get stage time to work out this hour was to do these drive-in shows, and they were huge. There'd be like 300 or 400 cars, maybe more, and a bunch of people in the cars, and they would train them to. Well, first of all, if it was good weather, the people in the front would be sitting outside of their car in lawn chairs.
So you at least had some faces. You
could kind of hear them laugh, right? But the cars are so deep. What they would do is they train people, hey, and to give us some kind of response when you, instead of laughing, just honk your horn. And that's how you did it. And so we did a few shows that were bad weather. It was cold. Everybody's inside the car. And you're just up there, and then you say something, and then you wait, and then a bunch of car horns honk, and you just have to tell yourself. It's what you realize is that you don't. It's not even the laugh that you need. It's just some kind of response, some kind of indication that they get it. Yeah. So if you just had to train yourself that that's what that is, you kind of got used to it after a while. It did. There's like a weird adjustment period to where
I can imagine.
Afterwards, where you're driving down the street and you're crossing the wrong lane and somebody honks and you're like, hey, appreciate it, thank you. You know, it's a good thing that it's programmed to mean there's danger, you know, a car honking,
turning around right into it.
I was all crossed up and rewired, but that was really, really cool, man. Hopefully never have to do it again. That's fair.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, one of those nights you get to check the experience off, but you're like, I never want to do that.
That's something Nate kept saying. He was like, let's just appreciate that we get to do this cool thing that had kind of never been done. And let's just like enjoy it for now. And then hope we don't have to do it again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah. I remember, I forget who he was touring with, but I remember Shane Torres was doing the same thing. And I just was like, how is it? And he was like, I hate it.
Yeah.
It's like just cars honking at me. Just like he was so upset.
We did one show that was right next to a train track. And let me tell you, that train went by, I think 4 or 5 times throughout the show. You just have to
shut down, but trains didn't. Yeah.
Exactly. You just have to be like, just address it. Hey, we're all in this together. Like, isn't this wild that there's a train right there? Yeah. Oh boy, this is a new problem. A train going by. You just gotta.
Right.
You just gotta. I mean, just people are aware of what a ridiculous situation it is.
Right. That's good. I mean, we all were in it together. You know, like, you want comedy. Exactly. This is how it's got to be.
This is the only option. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if y'all have seen Louis C.K.'s new special, but he's talking about COVID, and he says it's the only thing ever that has affected everybody.
Yeah,
And so it's really unique in that way, where we're all going through the same
Every
thing
single person. Yeah.
at the same time.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
From the
Super weird.
president to like a village in the Philippines. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it the other day. Like, if I had to explain it to like my younger self, I don't think I could.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Even now, I'm still like even trying to process it in my brain, where I'm like, wait, okay, so there's this variant now, and you know, and you're like, and there's
Waiting
like
for the
5 of
next
them,
one.
and
They
You
just
just
the
gotta
letters,
stop.
I think.
You just got to stop following it.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Because you
feel
can
like you
go,
get to a
you can go
certain
crazy
point.
with it. You can go
Yeah,
crazy.
where it's like, it's like, is this coming to your doorstep, or are you seeking it out? That's what I had to ask myself. Because I look at Reddit. I'm on Reddit all the time. And I was just telling Chance about this. I found out I could filter subreddits and filter out keywords. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm about to change my life. I filtered out every news subreddit, every COVID subreddit. And then I went to keywords and I was like, Trump, AOC, coronavirus, get them all out.
All the hot words. Let's just have some
And then-
fun.
And I'm just living a month in bliss. So I was like, nobody's talking about COVID. It's
Yeah.
over. Everything's great. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong in politics. You can live that life if you want to.
I choose to
Yeah,
live
you know?
a version of that that's just animal videos and people fails on Instagram. That's my entertainment.
Okay, that's pretty
I
good.
want to I want to see Dotsons run down hills in funny costumes, and I want to
Yeah.
see a guy getting just absolutely destroyed jumping off his roof on a trampoline. That's all I'm asking for, you know?
Will stand up ever be better than what you just described? Drew?
No,
No.
unfortunately,
I don't
it
think
never
so.
will.
No,
No,
it's just it's a terrible art form, isn't
it
it?
is. It is.
What a-
when
what a-
karaoke beats us out most nights.
Well, that karaoke is the one I will not get behind. I hate it.
I'm not a
I-
fan myself.
I
but
hate the. Should we? Oh my god! I hate the whole mentality.
the whole process.
I was like, "What's your song?" I hate it. It's so embarrassing. Everybody's awful. It's not funny. Nobody's good. They should burn all those places to the ground.
Hey, you're preaching to the
Sorry,
choir, man.
I got carried away
No,
there.
I love.
I
it's okay.
apologize.
Yeah,
You
it's okay.
preach. Hey, you preach your truths, man. I'm here
Hey,
for it.
This is an anti-karaoke podcast. Moving forward.
There we go.
It always has been.
Just didn't know. Just didn't know. I will say, like, since I've moved here, karaoke in Nashville is a different level of sad because of how many talented singers there are here.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
like when I was like back in New York, I could always tell like who tried to get on Broadway and by how serious they were taking karaoke.
Yes.
And that's kind of this here, except for it's a country song instead of like the
Right.
theme from Rent.
that night at Santa's pub, man. Holy cow! You could tell my man was trying out for the world.
Oh yeah. He thought, dude, somebody. You never know who's here.
Right.
You know,
right.
they
Instead,
could.
it was me and Drew.
Yeah.
Connor Larson used to run a show at Smith and Lentz, not Smith and Lentz, some place, Southern Grist,
Oh,
in
yeah,
East
yeah.
Nashville, and there was a little karaoke bar right behind it called Fran's,
Oh no.
and we'd go over there every day. Remember Fran's? We
I
go
went-
over there
yeah.
once, and I have this vague kind of memory of us being there, and everybody's doing like fun, energetic songs, and having a great time. And then this old man's like, "This one goes out to my daughter who died this week," and goes up there and is, "You stopped loving her today,"
Oh my
and you're like,
God.
"God, dude, way to kill the
That was my
vibe,
man.
Frederick."
That's how they got over it.
I know, man. That's what it is. Not unlike an open mic.
Right.
Honestly.
Very
No,
true.
yeah, that's
Very
fair.
true. Shout
The
out
same-
to Chance Willie on that assist on the show.
Oh yeah, I'm here with Chance Willie. He's doing the shows with me
Yeah,
this weekend.
nice. That's awesome, man.
He's
Good,
he's
good.
playing Harry Potter the video game. What is
That's
that?
fair.
Oh, Fire Emblem.
Okay. I'm not. I'm still playing. Still playing like NCAA 08.
Drew Harrison's reaction to that was very funny. He was like, "Okay." Yeah, that's what he said. He said he's playing Madden 08. That's what he said. NCAA football 2005. That was the best year.
Ooh, I still have the one with Tebow on it. So I think I got 11. That's what I
Oh,
got going
nice.
right now. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this was Larry Fitzgerald
No,
was on the cover of
solid.
2005.
Pittsburgh
And
legend.
they changed the game mechanics the next year. And I remember never being quite as satisfied.
That's fair.
So we would play
Don't you hate when they
2005 with
ruin a
buds.
good game? You know, like you're
I
so used
know.
to it, and then
And maybe don't put one out every year. Maybe take a
Yeah.
little time,
that's fair.
and then you put out a new one when you need to.
Yeah, sell them new updated rosters. You know, that's all you got to do. That's all we want.
That's not bad.
That's all we want. You know?
There you go. Would you, Drew? Do you make yourself in the game? You make yourself a quarterback?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every
Do
now
you-
and then I'll switch it up and be a running back.
Oh, okay. Are
'Cause,
you?
you know, something I would never do. in
Are
real
you
life.
honest about your body dimensions in it, or do you make yourself ripped or
No,
7 feet tall?
I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I keep it moderate with the height. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like I'm a giant. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna run through some people. It's gonna be great.
Oh no, I'm a beast, dude.
Yeah, I make myself on NHL. Like I got an NHL game too, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm the best passer this game has ever seen.
I remember NCAA 05, dude. I made my whole football team, 4th and 5th grade.
I used to
I
love
made
doing stuff.
Everybody on the team, the line. I made, of course,
Yeah.
we're all 99 overall.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know,
right.
and then the Montgomery Catholic Knights would beat the Dallas Cowboys or whatever, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
this would happen.
yeah, of course, every day.
It's fun.
Oh man, but really cool to get kind of back on track here. You got to record an album in the last year. So walk us through kind of how that came to be. If you kind of had the material that you wanted and you were like, I need to put this out. Like how walk us through that.
I don't know. I wanted to get something. I wanted to lay something down. Hopefully, to get some stuff on Sirius and kind of get some practical, like some passive income. That was the goal. It was like, if I get something reported, I'll get it on Sirius and hopefully it'll get some spins. So that was the goal. I still do. I mean, too much of what's on that album, but a lot of it I've moved on from. So it felt good to like unload some of it, and then I never have to do it again. And you wait, when is yours, Drew? Is it coming up?
18th, 19th.
Nice. And do you know how long it's going to be? Have you got to run that whole set
I think
anywhere?
it's about 50, 55.
That's awesome.
That.
Yeah, dude. And that's a Dead Crow?
Yeah.
I'll do your
Good
plugs
old
for
Dead
you.
Crow.
That's going to be go to TruthHarrisonComedy.com if you want to check out some of those other dates. And
look at that. Headline in the Idiot Box that Wednesday before.
Oh, nice. There you go. You get to run the whole thing then.
Yeah.
Perfect, dude. That's great.
Run it Wednesday, have a mental day Thursday, and then get ready for Friday, Saturday.
You have a mental
I like
day?
mental. Do anybody else like mental days where you just relax?
I'll take them. I mean,
mental spa day. You're not at a spa, but up here you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a mud bath,
hydrate,
cucumbers on your eyes, Drew?
Yeah, for sure. Lay out in the sun, get some vitamin D. You know what I mean?
Stone massage.
Yeah, I get stoned. You know what I mean?
Oh, there you go.
It's my mental day. You know what I mean?
I almost messaged you too. Was like, do you guys want to just do this on your own? And
No.
we'll just have an episode where I'm just not really hanging.
Us guys that look alike have to, stick together. It's fun. It's great.
I'm glad we dress differently, Drew. That
is our saving grace. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we sometimes get caught up in the same haircut cycles as well. You know
right. And we like the hats. We like the minor league baseball team hats. And then you show up Hawaiian shirts and pajama pants, and I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, see, perfect. Yeah. When you find your thing, you stick with it. You know.
Right. Yeah. It's a brand.
Yeah. You give me a comfy pair of pants, and I'm good to go.
We'll give you a call when we're ready for you.
Yeah, just let me know.
Bring you back in. Yeah.
I'll just be sitting here.
Will has come to the dark side recently. He's a joggers fan now as well.
I purchased some joggers. Pretty pumped about it.
Are you wearing them? Are you wearing them on stage?
I did once. I wore them at Third Coast, and then as soon as I got off, someone was like, "You can't wear boots and joggers," and I was like, "All right, I can't."
I think you can. Who cares?
Why
I
not?
think you can too.
When you wear joggers, you don't really. You've already put out to the world a level of I don't care. So
yeah, right.
Wear them boots, man.
Right. I'm wearing them right now. I'm wearing them right now. It's great.
Nice.
Happy, comfy, warm.
You're not wearing that fringe jacket, so we're good to go.
They want me to wear that for. So I work for a flower shop during the
They
day,
want you to wear that.
and I'm delivering flowers on Valentine's Day, and I try and keep the batshit insane comedy Will very distant from everyone that I work with at this flower shop. Like I try, but Instagram still exists, and so they found out about the fringe jacket, and they're like, "We need you to deliver all these flowers in that white leather jacket with the fringe."
Wow.
And they're like, because you're going to be going into offices, you're going to be making all these like women happy as they get.
You had a smile on your face, and you said, "Yes, I will do this."
Oh, I didn't
Immediately.
even think twice.
Yeah,
I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to do it anyway. I'm glad I have y'all's blessing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for doing this, man. What you got coming up?
I've got some shows. I'm doing some shows with Kathleen Madigan in March. I'm going to be all over, I think, every weekend in March.
Nice.
And then April, I'm going to be at, I don't know what's final. Anyway, you got Aaron Weber, look me up. And I got some stuff on there. I don't have my calendar in front of me, unfortunately, but I got some stuff coming up. Come check me out.
And
thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I'm glad this worked out. This is like probably the fifth time that we've scheduled to do this. So I'm glad that we finished it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you continue to have a great weekend down there in Arkansas. Thank you again. And as always, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys next time.
Awesome.
On it, friends.